Buenas, buenas, mi gente. Welcome, bienvenidos to another episode of Hablamos Spanglish during Women Heritage Month. As some of you may know, we are dedicating this month to powerful women, mujeres in marketing. And during this episode, you will meet Carolina Flores, a woman I have learned much from. She co-founded Hi Hello Labs, which is nuestra casa, where we record this podcast. Carolina is an entrepreneur, mom, and a woman who loves marketing and storytelling. But above all, she is a person, a woman of faith. In this conversation, we talk about how we met, our fun road trips through Colorado, the importance of her cultural heritage, how her father taught her the value of work, and how she now runs her own business. We also open up a space to talk from the heart about the purpose of our life and how sometimes the people around us can surprise us, positively or negatively. We also discuss about the importance of self-care and the evolving definition of success through the eyes of an immigrant. She is synonymous with resilience, perseverance, passion, and above all, service. Carolina is always willing to lend a hand and bring out the best in you to make you shine. She is someone who is making a positive impact on the Hispanic community and the life of those around her. Learn more about my friend Carolina, Hi Hello Labs, and much more in this new episode of Hablamos Spanglish. So sit back, relax, y vamos con todos. Carolina, I was trying to remember when we first met. Mm-hmm. And when I saw you, because it was at an event where many American women, we were celebrating Valentine's, I think, right?
Yes, so, it was Valentine's, you're right.
It was a room full of American women, and when I saw another Latina, I was like, let me go there. Of course, like going to my comfort zone, but also I felt like, yes, you're not alone.
Yes.
It was my first time like getting out of my comfort zone as a Latina and getting involved more into the American community. Yeah. And it was through a great friend of mine who has pushed me, and I think she has also pushed you in different ways, which is Bernadette.
Yes, she's amazing.
And I think right there, I don't know, we met and everything clicked, but for some reason, no tuvimos, like we didn't connect until almost
a year later.
A year. Yeah.
Yes. I know, life was lifing at that time.
Yeah, you were starting.
We had just started Hi Hello Labs, and so I remember going to that event too, and I remember being the only Latina and then seeing somebody else and having that same feeling, because I didn't know anybody else other than Bernadette, and of course she's hosting, so you don't want to be like, I'm just gonna touch you. She has a million things to do and hosting literally everyone at the event, and so I loved though that we naturally connected and clicked, and it was so awesome.
I mean, you were just starting this amazing journey, which I know is the La Casa de Hablamos Spanglish.
Yes.
Here at Hi Hello Labs. It's been, it was your dream came true.
Yes.
And also mine. So I'm very, very thankful.
Yes.
De verdad for opening your doors to Hablamos Spanglish. But and I love it because we have, similar stories, and after that, you opened the doors. We started producing the podcast, pero también we had the opportunity to go to a retreat.
That's right.
In Colorado, which also helped us to get closer and became really good friends.
Yes, we went really quick from like business acquaintance to like, all right, and we're dorming in a camp style room for the next week.
Yeah.
It's been an awesome journey, and for us, for me, this is like it's our honor to be able to produce Hablamos Spanglish here at Hi Hello Labs, and it's so aligned with our why of just having good people put out good content in a world where there's so much filth and noise and just kind of I call it nonsense media. Like, it's stuff that's not really producing anything other than helping people numb and scroll. To be able to partner with you, who's putting out incredible stories about people who've done real things and are educating and impacting and inspiring not just Hispanic Americans or Latinos, but Americans, and just really inspiring people who have big dreams and want to accomplish big things and have come to this country to do that. And so it's an honor for us to be able to host Hablamos Spanglish here.
And I thank you for that, because it's like coming from just an idea that I had up on a piece of paper. I had my mic, lo he compartido ya varias veces hoy, pero I had the mic in my gaveta, you know, in the drawer, and for a year, because my dad believed in my dream, and he bought that mic for me, but I didn't know what Hablamos Spanglish was gonna be. But then, you know, transforming that, you know, from producing from home and doing it through Zoom to coming here to this, you know, ambience where everybody feels so like, sí, como en casa, you know.
Sí,
and
esa es la idea.
Sí, pero también is kind of like when I saw you, and I, you know, I knew about your story and Carlos's stories. It was like, this is what Hablamos Spanglish is, right?
Yes.
It's telling those stories because, you know, you are Latina, you know, an immigrant. You're a mom, an entrepreneur. You know, you juggle so many things, and that's why this month we're dedicating este episodio and this month to women like you. You know, that are making a difference out there.
Thank you. I feel super honored. I feel like our personalities, we can literally spend the whole episode doing this. Like, no, you're amazing. No, you're amazing.
No, vamos a estar así todo.
I love it. But that's why we get along so well.
But I wanna share with the world your story. Porque I remember, like, we were in Colorado. We were driving, and you were telling me your story of,
and I was terrified that I was driving.
Yes, I was
guys.
terrified.
My husband says I'm the worst driver, but we're going through the mountains of Colorado.
Sí, me acuerdo. But Carolina was telling her story, and I was like, oh, we're having the Hablamos Spanglish episode here in this car. Pero me acuerdo, like, your story with, you know, how you started your entrepreneurship journey, pero que ya tenías esa venita en ti. But I remember everything started when I asked you, Carolina, did you knew English when you came to the US? And that's when you told me, no, I was at school here. So.
Yes. Yeah. So, a little back end. I'm a third generation entrepreneur. And so, I'm originally from República Dominicana. So my grandpa was an entrepreneur. My dad was an entrepreneur. And naturally, that's just all I saw. Like, you know, either my parents worked a 9 to 5. Like, entrepreneurship was just ingrained in who we are and what we were. And I remember being little, and like my dad was like, all right, vamos a la compañía, you know? And like, I remember back then, the invoices would be sent out and the envelopes were typed up on a typewriter. And so my dad, that part of my job, which I thought I was like, so like, what a big job, was to type out the envelopes for the invoices, right? And they would just let me do a few, like, you know, there were hundreds of envelopes going out, but they would just let me do a few. And I felt so important. I remember feeling just such a sense of ownership. Yes. And so I think that's something we do now with our kids, of like bringing them here, and like it really does something to you when you just get to have a sense of ownership in what you're doing, and you get so much pride in that. And, you know, all the non-academic, intangible lessons that you learn, you know, the value of $1, the sense of hard work, you know, that hard work is the shortcut. Like there's no, there's so many things you learn: hospitality, leadership. I remember seeing my grandpa passed away before I was born. So my dad was, I think he was 28 or 29 when my grandpa passed away. And so he very quickly had to step into kind of that, como el patriarca de la familia. And he was the oldest son. And so, I saw him in a lot of different leadership roles, but él cargaba mucho ese legado de mi abuelo. Like that was very... and I remember I would say my name and people were like, oh, pero nieta de Nindy Blanc. Wow. Like there was just a sense of like responsibility of legacy that we carried, and so for me it was a no-brainer that entrepreneurship was what I wanted to do. Fast forward a little bit and Dominican Republic is kind of weird. It's like I think the social economic kind of phases are very, not phases, what am I trying to say? Como que las líneas son muy marcadas entre los diferentes, ¿cómo se dice? Las clases socioeconómicas son muy marcadas. Sí, entonces, por ejemplo, allá, to be an entrepreneur, it's very, very hard to start from scratch if your family's not ready in that or something like that. Like it's just very hard to start, or if your network is not
because your
what
last
it needs
name
to be. Yes, and there's so much
from
of
generation to generations and things like
Yes, and so my grandpa was in the like industrial mechanic industry, designing machines and things like that, and then my dad was kind of in the same industry, and he started a company where they manufactured security doors and all of that. And then,
which I thought it was so interesting.
Yes,
right?
And I loved it. And I remember I never felt a sense of like, oh, this is a man's.
No.
Like that I as like a woman would never have a role in it to play. But I have two older brothers, and as we got older, again, my dad did such a good job at like showing us everything and making us feel a part. So it wasn't until I got older and like college, like high school, college, all of that I began to kind of feel that like, wait, as a woman, what is my role and in society and in all the things. And now granted, I'm talking, I don't know what, 20 years ago now, like, which is crazy to even say. And so it wasn't as to all the Gen Zs listening that are like, what? Yeah. How do you? And I could never, it was like, this is 20 years ago. And this is also in our culture. O sea, el honrar y el be obedient and the be is like very important. And so I didn't want to do anything that would ruffle feathers. And so I remember like it was all great as long as like while I was there working and part-time and helping and like secretary things and admin things. But when it came to me really finding a place and like, well, this is what I want to do and this is how I fit, it just felt like there wasn't a place for me. And it was a very male-dominated field. And I feel like my dad, even though he's my biggest cheerleader, 100% to this day, literally this morning I was on the phone with him and he's giving me business advice, like literally my biggest cheerleader, out of that love and fatherly protection, because it was a factory of men. And I think he, in a lot of ways, kind of kept me... protected me out of it. But for me, that was it just put me in a place of like, well, then what is my place and what am I going to do? And so the opportunity came for me to come to the United States to go to college. And my sister wanted to do interior design, which at that time, you can only do it in Altos de Chabón in La Romana. And my dad was like, I would literally rather send you to the States than to La Romana by yourself. And so, because then coming here, we could come together.
Exactly.
And so we came to Orlando, we went to school, and I was like, I was very clear I wanted to do marketing and advertising and communications. And I just really loved that communications world, PR, all of that. Like I love words, I love writing. And so I knew that I wanted to be in that space.
And was it hard when you came like from Dominican Republic, or that was something that you already had in mind? Or you were open to that opportunity?
Yeah, I was definitely open to it. So I went to an American school in the Dominican Republic. And so from a culture perspective, I was really okay. And the other thing, cabe mencionar, que I grew up in Miami for the first 7 years. So when I was 2 years old till I was 9 years old, I did live in Miami and my dad's business and all that. And then we moved back to the Dominican Republic. So I my childhood was like half here, half there. Those first elementary years that are so important were all in English. So I even remember going back to Dominican Republic and having to learn Spanish, and como escribir y leer. Entonces es muy interesante because it's almost like I had the opposite, the reverse experience. Wait, I'm supposed to be Dominican. I'm supposed to know this. Funny. And so I had that experience. And so then being in American school, I didn't really, even though I graduated with both diplomas and I can speak Spanish and write very fluently, obviamente. And if my dad's listening, he'd be like, pues ya no es dominicana.
And that's why my question when we were at that, in Colorado, I asked you, if you knew English before. Because I was like, you start double thinking and you say, oh my gosh, Carolina came during her college years.
And she doesn't
have any accent. I'm like, Carolina, did you speak English?
But you know what's funny is that I do feel like I felt that way going there. And I felt like a fish out of water. And then the shame that comes because you're like, but I am Dominican. Wow. Why don't I know? And I, as a kid, you're a sponge. So you pick it up very quickly. So I did pick it up very quickly. But I remember in school, I was like, como que yo era dominicana, but I was the gringa dominicana in a lot of ways. Culturally and a lot of the things that I the way I was, the things that my interests were very Americanized. And so, even navigating that and then coming back here, it was now we're reversing again.
Culture shock because you grew up here, those early years were here. So then you go over there, so you experience a culture shock, you come back, and then
and now it's this whiplash of culture. And it's funny, I don't feel I have a joke that corporate Carolina is English. Corporate Carolina is American. I can talk my way through business in English. Great. I feel super confident public speaking in English. I feel incredibly confident. In Spanish, even though I can do it, my confidence is a little when I hear other friends and they did college in Dominican Republic and I'm like, no, pero esta gente tiene un léxico que
because of the technical.
Y este léxico tan profesional, and it's the business lingo, right? So we can speak corporate, American corporate, but it's the same thing. Yo no domino esa parte del idioma, entonces that makes that does shoot my self-confidence a little bit there, but. Or my identity a little bit, maybe. But anyways, and so to make a longer story short, after moving here, and I met my husband right after college, and he was a 9-to-5 kind of guy, and so it took about 10 years into our marriage for him to jump on the entrepreneurship train, and we decided to start Hi Hello Labs, and here we are.
and we had Carlos as one of our first episodes.
So you can hear the whole story there. I kind of wanted to skip that.
When we relaunch Hablamos Spanglish here, and I remember his story when he said it wasn't in me, it was my wife who kind of pushed me and helped me see that why we needed to pivot and really start our own companies. But why did you decide to launch your own company?
I mean, in a lot of ways, entrepreneurship was birthed out of necessity. So we have a son with special needs, and we just realized the only way for us to provide what we want to provide as a family. You know, I know that this isn't the route for everyone, and that even as I am saying this, I realize the privilege that we have in even saying that. But for us, we really felt the leap to in faith step out and start our own business, because we wanted to be able to have unlimited income. And the only way to really do that is to build your own, you know, build your own business and really do that. And then obviously that's like the initial why, right? Yeah. But then when you get into the what we're doing, why we're doing it, it's really a little bit of what I shared at the beginning of the episode of like, we really just want, this is where our giftings are, right? I really think I'm really good at strategy and coming up with concepts and storytelling and all of that. And then obviously Carlos brings in all of the technical expertise, and you know, he was in production for over a decade and all of that. And so we are like, okay, this is what I bring, this is what you bring. It's a great mix to have. It's a great blend of gifts. Now, how can we use it to make the world better and build a business out of it? And this is how Hi Hello Labs was birthed. And so to be able to use our gifts to empower other people to have a voice. And, you know, I say all the time, I don't want another Kim Kardashian here. And that's fine. Like, I'm nothing against her. She's a brilliant woman, brilliant businesswoman. You know, she is what she is and does what she does. But like, I want to give people who wouldn't see themselves as the experts, but really are the experts. You know, when you sit here and you talk about overcoming and you talk about building a business and you've done those things. You have the credibility to talk about those things. And so I think that those are the people that really have the authority and really have the power to transform people's lives. Right? You can have a gift and be good at something, but if you don't carry that, we would say in the Christian world, the anointing to do it, then it doesn't land the same way. And so I want to give those people a voice.
No, and I love it. And because, you know, there are so many people out there that have a story to tell, right? And sometimes they don't know how to do it. Right. So I think just having this space and creating your own podcast, for example, for me, I just thought that I always wanted to be on, at that time it was entertainment, tell stories, interviews, do radio or TV. I didn't have the opportunity, and I said, you know, I'll create my own opportunity. But also when I was thinking about doing my own thing, I didn't want to speak about like marketing. Usually when you're a business owner, you know, you start your own podcast and you do it under that umbrella and then talking about
whatever your expertise is.
And I was like, no, I want to do, you know, something else that's gonna I spend the whole day talking about marketing. So I was like, no, I want to do something for me, and that feels also my heart, but also can contribute to my company, because at the end of the day, the stories that we tell, and I'm learning from each one of you that sits here, from your story, your background, and that helps bold. But I think for those, there are so many voices out there that are looking for a way to express themselves.
And the thing is that this is such a holistic way of growing your brand. And like, at the end of the day, people do business with people, right? And so for you, in your case, like, what a beautiful opportunity for people to know who you are, your heart, to know, you know, that these are the values that they can find in an agency like Bold. And it's so brand aligned. And I think that's where everything's at. I think that's why people love TikTok, because everyone is so real. Guys, okay, Anna, oh my God. Wow. I was like, I refuse. I'm an elder millennial. So I'm like, I refuse to go on TikTok. Eso es para Gen Z. Yo no tengo tiempo para eso. No. And I finally got on it. And I don't numb scroll. So my little sister's on there. She's the one that's like, ella me curate. Like, this is what you should. This is what you should come here for.
She's a filter.
Yes, she's my filter. So it works out perfectly. But of course, then your For You page starts populating based on what you're looking at. And I'm like, I see why people love TikTok. Yes. It's real people. And you know, there's people on there selling pens and making so much money selling pens. But you know why? Because they're there telling stories in their hearts and they're being real. And the guy's like, listen, I am literally selling pens because I have a disability and I can't go out and get a job. And so, you know, people are tired of the fake, overproduced, whatever, not quality, because they want quality, but just like, people want real and they want stories and they want to know. They don't want these people that are on these influencers are like, come here are the 6 steps to build your 6-figure business and da, 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 da. Bro, you haven't built a 6-figure business and we can see right through that. And so we don't want that. We want to know, tell me the hard parts of entrepreneurship. Let's talk about burnout. Let's talk about the things that, hey, I wanted to close this whole business down last week because I'm so like, I'm disappointed, you know, and that those are all the real things that come with this journey. And so, yeah, I think that's the power and beauty of podcasting is there are no rules. It's the Tik Tok of media.
And now you're saying that, you know, that's how I feel, for example, with our friendship, right? Is that I have been able to find a friend, you know, that is, you know, and you have been there in, like I always say, in blessed time. And, you know, the you know, sometimes that have been difficult, but also being able to just be yourself and you know, and I try to be myself, you know, 100% all the time, because I did had a time when I was trying to fit in, right? Like, okay, you have to dress like this and talk like this, and you know, like society wants you to be something that you don't, you know, you are not. And I was, you know, when I met you, and I have been able to create that circle of trusted people, but unfortunately you also experience that bad things, right? Bad experiences where you think you have, oh my gosh, I have this great group of friends, and then I told you that I haven't been, the last 3 months of my life have been crazy. And unfortunately, I have encountered that not many people are ready for that realness, right? Even though you find it on TikTok that it can be, you know, something that most of the people are there because they love that. There are some people that
are not.
So,
absolutely.
And we encounter this a lot in the business world. And how does Carolina manage all this, you know, by being a mom, you know, a wife, a business owner, being out there in the community? And I know you're a woman of faith, which you have taught me so many things, but it's like, how do you cope with all of, you know, all the things?
I mean, it's a loaded question with a lot of answers, I think. I mean, obviously you said I'm a woman of faith. I am. That is the core of who I am. And it was the beginning. Me having a very strong relationship with Jesus was the beginning of me finding who I truly am and who I'm meant to be. And you were saying, you know, kind of just now, and to your point, like, yeah, there's a lot of people that really like the version of you that serves them. But when you start finding the version of you that is to serve yourself and your purpose and what you're really called to do, all of a sudden, there's not a lot of people that like that version, because that version comes with boundaries. That version comes with hard moments where you need to be held in space, and not everyone's ready and willing to do that unless there's something in it for them. And I think that's very hard as women. That's very hard as Latina women who we come naturally, innately have this heart of hospitality, of just loving people, of community, that neighboring sense. Es lo que nos hace hispana. O sea, el hispano tiene eso de por sí en la sangre.
Querer ayudar,
de querer
there for
ayudar,
each other.
And I'll take my coat off my back and give it to you. And so when you get into the very real world, then not everyone is like that, and you get hurt and you get burned. Man, it's very hard to have to unlearn those things and heal from them, rebuild who you are. And so for me, having my faith, having very clear sense of purpose of what I'm called to do, who I am, and that understanding that I'm not going to be liked by everyone, and that's okay. And that was very hard, especially as a people pleaser. That's very hard to let go of that, right? And that means like even pleasing my kids, then everyone needs something from you, and everyone.
And it's like you and I were talking, and it was like burnout doesn't come only from work. Exactly. And that's why I asked the question, like we have different hats, right? And as a woman, even more, I think, right?
For sure.
And so that's why I asked that question, because I think burnout comes from different ways, and I felt that, you know, right now I think I am rediscovering myself as well. Like, okay, Anna, you have being in the business world, you know, and being a Latina is like, okay, I you know, I want to take care of my community, and I want to give back, and I, you know, have to take care of my family, and not only my family here, but one in Venezuela, and my friends, like so many things. But then I was like, oh my gosh, what happened here? It's like it got to a point where I had a very difficult situation, like on a personal level, when I, you know, went back to Venezuela. My grandfather passed, and, you know, some other personal things that I was like, okay, what happened here? I have to pay attention to something. And I remember that a friend of mine told me, Ana, tienes la parte de negocio, esta otra parte, but then the spiritual part needs to be filled, right? So I stopped, and I started thinking about when we went to the retreat. Y por eso te digo, es como que...
Sí, es una parte, it's so important. And you know what it's really taught me? That as a people pleaser too, because I feel like a lot of women fall in that category, whether we want to admit it or not, is that you can operate out of guilt or you can operate out of purpose. And when you operate out of guilt, you do things because you feel guilty, because you feel like you have to do them. And so then you start doing it all in your strength. No one told you had to do. That's not part of your purpose. That's not part of what God's calling you to do, but you're doing it out of guilt. And so now the striving comes, now my own effort. And I think that's where the burnout comes, right? Because you don't take care of yourself. There's no clear boundaries, and you're doing things in your own strength. But when you do things out of purpose and out of obedience, so God is calling me to do this. This is what I'm supposed to put my hands to in this season. Then there's this grace. That's why there's times as entrepreneurs, we can stay up for 3 weeks, working up till 2, 3 in the morning, and go, and be at 20 events the next day, and be in that sort of hustle and grind. But that's because there's a grace on your life to do that in that moment. But when we're doing it because out of comparison, well, that's what such and so's doing, so that's what I must do, so let me do it. But there's no grace on your life to do it, and so you're gonna burn out. And so that has been very pivotal for me. I want to stay in a place where I'm operating out of obedience and out of purpose, even if it doesn't make sense to people. Like right now, there's a million tips and tricks on how this should already be a 7-8 figure business. I could, but I would neglect this other very real thing in my life of these 3 kids. And right now, where I'm at, the grace is for me to be mom and to be a wife and to be an entrepreneur. And that's very different than maybe for someone who doesn't have kids, or for someone who they do have kids, but there is a grace on their life to be focusing on that right now. And so I think it's very important for us as women to really take a look and audit ourselves and say, am I doing this out of guilt or comparison or whatever other insecurity, whatever other root there is? Or am I doing this because I'm really graced, called to do this? And the purpose in my life right now is to do this. So yeah, that's my 2 cents soapbox on that.
And I love it. And because I have a friend that she told me I started going to this retreat because I needed that like space for me, right? Because I felt like everybody was needing something from Anna or pulling me, and I was like, I'm stretching myself too much, and I was like, okay, let's pause. I think God is trying to tell me something here. So I decided to join this retreat, and my friend told me, you're going to see what's going to happen now that you're making space for you, right? And for God as well.
Yeah.
Because now I feel like my business and everything that I feel I have been called to do is because also I live with a purpose, right?
Yes.
I want to inspire. Everything has a purpose in life. But then life can pull you from that
very quickly.
Quickly. So it's like, okay, going back to why, your why and why you started, why. And for me, right now, I am on that transition, right? On that, porque you encounter so many things out there, and that it can be very genuine or it can be fake.
Yes, 100%.
So
yeah, it's very true. And it's so powerful what you're doing, because the reality is you can't give from an empty cup. And so you'll see now, like, instead of giving, the las migajas, the crumbs of what you have to give, now you're going to be able to give from a place of overflow. And it's going to make you a more cheerful giver, como te va a dar gusto poder dar, because you can. And so that's a very powerful thing. It's going to make you a better leader, a better entrepreneur, a better friend, a better community partner, a better everything, because you're giving from a place of abundance and not the what you don't have. O sea, literal, damos lo que no tenemos.
A veces sí. And I think that comes, it is cultural.
100%.
Because I remember, por ejemplo, o sea, había momentos difíciles in your life where I remember my mom is like, okay, you guys can eat first and then I'll eat last, right?
Totalmente.
So when you think about it, it's like, why is she gonna eat last, at the end? So those kind of things, they stay with you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you want to give because you love these people, you love your community, you love your friends, you love so much that it's hard to say no sometimes. Right? And you're gonna give so much, but there is so much that you can give, right?
Exactly.
I feel like right now, and I have learned this a lot from you. You have been instrumental to my life, and that's why you have, I mean, you're here for that reason, because you have so much that we can learn from you. Everybody that is listening to the podcast right now.
That's awesome. Well, I'm happy to be here. It's been such an awesome conversation.
Okay, what do you envision for, as Carolina, what's your next step? Was that you feel like you are that you wanna do? So many things happening.
Yeah. So we have the business, and obviously it's growing, and I've been in this season of like we experienced a lot of growth really, really fast, which on paper sounds really good. But sometimes growth can be too much growth in a little short time, can be very hard. And so for us, it's been taking a step back to really process that growth, making sure that our foundation is very stable, so that para que no nos llevemos el mundo por delante, so we don't easy come, easy go. And so that's been one part of it, but also too, to just enjoy where we are. Like, I love, Jenna Kutcher says this, of like, there's people that, when I was como ambitious people, we have these visionaries, like we tend to have these big goals, and it's like we work so hard, we reach this super high bar, And instead of just sitting on that bar and enjoying the work you've done and taking it all in, we're already moving the bar. So I'm working very hard on like sitting on the bar for a little bit and just taking in where we are and making sure that what we're building remains sustainable and that, you know, we're just going at the right pace. Again, obviously being a mom of 3 little kids I have 8-year-old, soon to be 9, 8-year-old, 7 and 3. And so being a mom to them and understanding that this season is very important for me to be present, for me to be engaged and giving them that time. And so, you know, redefining what success is for me. And for me right now, that's freedom of time. And so if I can just do enough to have my time, then I'm good. I don't need to try to go faster than what my season needs from me. So
and I think that's the sometimes I think the purpose of many entrepreneurs is like, you know, create a business that works for us.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Is that
that is the goal.
Yes. That we can really create the life that we want.
Yes.
Around it.
Yes.
Because sometimes, you know, it wouldn't fit if it will be the other way around.
Exactly.
And
then we just have another job.
Exactly.
We're just buying a job. We're building a job. Yeah, and I don't want to build a job. I don't want to.
No, I don't want to either. And I'm being blessed. I'm being lucky to.
Yeah.
I remember when I was working at Univision, I would go. I had to leave home because it would take me an hour to drive there. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I will see people like, you know, just running at 8:30 in the morning.
Like, what do they do for a living?
Yes. So I'm like, I want to be them. I want to be running at 8:30 and not like, you know, going.
Yes, a different type of running.
Yeah, exactly. A different type of running. So eso me acuerdo que it was like a spark because I want to be able to build a life. And actually, even my assistant, she's like, and I'm going to make time for you just to talk with you as a friend.
Yeah.
And she's like, I think you need to start your day a little bit later so you can have more time to. And I'm like, Anna, if your assistant is telling you this, yes, you need to.
Yes, that is a bit much.
Of course, she's became my extension, right?
Claro.
So she sees my calendar. She's you know, she's the person that I talk to every day. And she's like, Ana, creo que necesitas un tiempo.
Sí, you're doing the most.
Yes, qué cómico. Yeah.
Sí, pero la vida.
No, but I think that you guys are doing a fabulous job. You're doing an amazing job. I couldn't imagine like creating a business, and also being a mom of 3 kids.
Yeah.
But you also find time to go to the conference, like to go to a retreat, to you know, do all these things, and you don't forget about yourself, which is I think is key.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think women forget that they are much more that sometimes they lose track. We can lose track.
100%. And it did happen, and that's why I am so passionate about it now, because it's a lesson you learn the hard way. And so for me, like, if I can leave you with anything, especially women, now that it's, you know, Women's History Month, like, take care of yourself. There's only one of you. I said this on social media the other day, but there's only one of you, and it's gonna make you a better everything of whatever you're putting your hands to. It's gonna make you better because you are your greatest investment. If you fall, everything, what was the point? Nothing matters then. So yeah, it was a lesson I learned the hard way, and I'm very passionate about making sure that others at least shave off some of their time, because I think everyone needs to learn it in their own time. But if I can help shave some of that learning curve, then yeah, it'd been worth it.
No. Yeah. Tienes el corazón de oro, Caro.
Igual.
I love you so much, my friend.
So much.
Thank you.
Carlos is like, I
know. Ustedes no están viendo la cara de Carlos, el esposo de Carolina, pero no, pero gracias por todo. I always tell you this, for believing in me, for creating this space, for also inspiring me in so many ways that you don't even know, for being there and support me, for sharing your story también.
Claro.
Because I know that many are gonna be inspired
That's
by
awesome.
it. So gracias.
Yeah, gracias a ti. Hablamos Spanglish.
Muchísimas gracias, mi gente. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey of Hablamos Spanglish. It is a pleasure for me to explore the diverse stories and experiences within our vibrant Hispanic community. I hope that you have found inspiration, connection, and a deeper appreciation for our culture and heritage. Remember, our stories are what unite us and what make us stronger. Stay tuned for more captivating episodes in the future, and don't forget to follow us on social media and share your thoughts with us. Hasta pronto.